Hey everybody, it's Steve, Real Progressives. It's been a few days since you've heard from me or seen me, and I needed a quick break. But we're realizing that we have a government and people in it, and people that are supposed to be representing us, that do absolutely nothing but lie to us. And for whatever reason, we're expected to just go ahead and accept that. And I've gotten to the point now where not only can I accept it, but I have a real problem with anybody who can accept it. I'm looking at our movement, looking at who our day one people are, looking at the people that are going to try and recreate, a better society in tomorrow. And I look around and I say, well, I'm against war. I'm against violence. And when I see people telling me to arm myself for the revolution, they're not my brothers and sisters, folks. They're not people I'm ready to partner with. When I see people telling me that I need to take to the streets in a violent manner, they're not my people. When I see people telling me that I need to take over some building here or there like the Bundys did because they got away with it, they're not my people, folks. They are not my people. They're not people I'm willing to go anywhere with. And, as animated as you see me sometimes get, as frustrated as you've seen me get at times, you'll never see me advocating violence. Not ever. And the reason for that is that I have adopted a mindset that tells me that I may lose a few skirmishes now by being peaceful, but I'll win the war if I choose the way of peace, if I eat my own dog food. Why in the world would I sit there and protest against war and then advocate taking up arms against my own government? Why would anybody that is remotely against war advocate such a thing? There's been several times where people in this movement have tried to suck me into stupid things that I'm just not willing to be a part of. And when I see it, it makes me worry. It's like I'm in for a cerebral revolution. I'm in for a revolution that outsmarts my enemy, that convinces my enemy to join sides with me. Because a lot of people do things out of a misplaced understanding. They don't quite get what's going on. They're impulsive, whatever. But I don't ever want to be in a situation where the loudest and the proudest are guiding us by the nose because they're charismatic and they're able to attract the young people to this excitement. What is your exit strategy, people? Where do you want to get to? What is it that you think you're going to achieve by doing something stupid? If you can't define your end state, if you don't know where it is you're trying to go to, and you're trying to lead me somewhere, brother, sister, I want no part of it. If you're telling me you want to do away with our monetary system and implement some other one, and you can't explain to me what our current monetary system is, you got no business advising me on economics. None. If you want to guide me on some form of new constitution, and you don't realize that Republicans and libertarians would participate in any new constitution we will put together, and you think somehow or another you're going to be able to be a revolutionary that destroys the complete existence of what's in place today, and will be able to put whatever it is you think in place without their input, I want no part of you either. Because we will end up, unless we split our country into 4 or 5 countries, have to deal with those people. So people calling for a constitutional convention, you think it's just going to be progressives? Do you think it'll just be progressives in that lineup? I assure you it won't be. When you want to raise your fist in the air and fight for something, do you have any idea where you're headed? Any idea at all? If you don't, maybe you should follow instead of try to lead. Far too many people want to take a leadership role that have no business leading anyone anywhere. And it's been very difficult for me to get my mind wrapped around the fact that people are really drawn to mouthy people. Not necessarily smart people, but charismatic, exciting people. And that should scare the daylights out of you. That should scare you to death. Because you can't mask truth and knowledge with charisma. Ronald Reagan was charismatic. Bill Clinton was charismatic. Barack Obama was charismatic. Adolf Hitler was charismatic. Now, it takes somebody that has the right sensibilities and the right mind and the right intentions for me to say, I'll follow you somewhere. And I worry because people with more time on their hands might lead people astray. People with more enthusiasm and more coolness, more hipster stuff, lead people astray. And when they talk, they don't know where they're going. They do not know where they're going. And that scares the shit out of me. So, I've come to believe also that it's a lot easier to just tell the truth, admit you don't know something, than try and make up a story to fill in the holes in your game. It'd be better to say, I don't know. I can't answer that. Than to sit there and try and make up a yarn and get a bunch of people to follow you into fucking hell's reach. You know, I'm one of those revolutionaries that's got kids. And I'm going to do smart things because I love them. And I'm not going to sit there and showboat. And I'm most definitely not going to follow anyone that doesn't know where they're trying to go to. I have never been more scared in my entire life when I hear people talk about that. When I hear people talk about the things that they know nothing of. That should scare the shit out of you. What's the difference between Paul Ryan and a Green Party person fanning the flames about debt? Absolutely nothing. What's the difference between a libertarian trying to slash spending and a Green Party person thinking that they're passing on debt to their kids? Not a damn thing. They just have a different flag they're waving. Both are steeped in abject stupidity. And I wouldn't follow either one of them anywhere. I wouldn't follow them out of a fiery building, even if they knew the way out. I wouldn't follow them. It's very important that you and I understand how important it is to live in truth. If you don't live in truth and you presume to lead people, that's a serious problem. Because at some point in time, people get disillusioned in people. People tell a lie. They do something shady. They do something that makes people lose hope. And this movement is far bigger, far bigger than one person. And I've gotten to the point where I've got little to no respect for people that need heroes. I've gotten to a point where I'm really ashamed of people who need heroes. And it's terrible to say that. But what happens when you have a hero? What happens when a hero decides that they've got something else going on? What happens when when you're stuck choosing between following them and following what you know to be right? We saw it with Bernie Sanders. I love Bernie, but you know he did wrong by following Hillary. You know you can't follow Hillary. So, what's truth? Is the truth that you can't follow Hillary, or is the truth that you love Bernie and you'll follow Bernie anywhere? Think about that for a minute. I'm not talking crap about Bernie. I'm telling you right now, we don't need heroes. We need a vision. We need truth. And we need people that'll stand for truth. And we need people that don't make up things that are beyond their pay grade. You know, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I don't need a bunch of leaders. I need people that'll just do shit. I need people that'll get shit done. People that don't whine to me about how hard life is. People that care enough about this to get shit done. And when you talk about leadership, the kind of leadership that I give a shit about is servant leadership. People that are not in it for the fame or glory, but are in it to serve people. And there's no way in the world that you can serve somebody if you're talking about economics when you don't know your ass from your elbow. That's not serving people. That's, I don't know, that's stupidity maybe? I don't know what it is, but it's not anything I'm willing to follow. And when you talk to me about the environment, but yet you support somebody, who supports fracking, that's not going to get it done with me either. Standing Rock, one of the things that made Standing Rock special was the fact that while they were under incredible odds, they didn't resort to violence. And it only takes one or two bad eggs to spoil a bunch. It really does. This movement is greater than any one of us. And when we take it upon ourselves to act foolishly, we don't just hurt ourselves. We don't just hurt ourselves at all. We hurt the entire movement. I hope you forgive me for the choppy signal. I'm doing my best to find good signal. That's why you see me moving around. But I felt like this was an important discussion to have, because there's far too many people fancying themselves to be leaders. Far too many people fancying themselves to be a cool guy. They want to show up, they want to make a big stink, they want to make some noise, and they don't really care where the chips fall after that. People are willing to follow people into disaster. And those disasters have consequences. You know, what if you have a job in public service and you do something really stupid and you get your clearance revoked? Maybe some kid that doesn't have a security clearance thinks it's really cool and pats you on the back and thinks you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. But then you go home and you look at your kids. They're like, Dad, why can't you feed us anymore? Because I followed a false prophet. I followed a fake leader. I followed somebody who elevated nonsense above truth. And Yasmina, as much as people should stop talking about Bernie, the problem is that the election is November 8th. That's a couple weeks away. Then after that, these people are going to be running the Senate, running Congress. You've got to make sure that you're working with what you've got and you're fighting a revolution, because you've got to live today and you got to fight for a better tomorrow. I choose to do that on the outside of the system. But these people are still in power, and to ignore that is foolhardy. To ignore that is foolhardy. We need to have an inside-outside strategy. We can't be all one way or we will lose. Do you know something? I sat there. I was able to have a 2-hour conversation with Tim Canova, with Claudia there, and it was pretty awesome. But I didn't sit there and flame out. I didn't make a bunch of hardcore asshole statements. I retained my credibility. And when you think about what it takes to make change with an opposing side that already doesn't agree with you, you've got to be wise in the way you do direct action. You've got to be wise in the words you choose. You've got to be wise and think about the long game. You've got to be wise so that you have credibility so you can affect change. Otherwise, you just start getting angry and then you're stuck picking up a gun, which I will never do. I'd rather die than pick up a gun. So, I ask you all to think about what it is that you're following and who you're following and what you're modeling your activism behavior after. To think about what you celebrate in this march towards freedom, towards progress. I value peace above all. I value freedom, because without freedom there can be no peace. But I value wisdom and intelligence far more than wanton rage. Never lose your sense of outrage, but don't be a dummy doing it. So with that, remember, if you want to live to fight another day, you can be as radical as you want to be, but use your head and remember what it is, the principles that you stand for. If you stand for peace, don't let any asshole tell you to pick up a gun. If you stand for peace, live your peace. Demonstrate peace so others learn what it means to be peaceful. Do not go the way of the gun. Because to live by the sword is to die by the sword. This is Steve with Real Progressives, hoping you guys have a great day. I'll be on tonight at 10 o'clock. Look for me then. Have a good one.